As you know, the law is becoming more complex, and law is being described as more of an operation rather than a practice. There's constraints on resources. The challenges are great. Bringing her perspectives to us as a former Microsoft lawyer and now the Assistant General Counsel of Snowflake Computing, please welcome Lucy Bassli to talk about the new legal ecosystem.
Hi. My only sole purpose here is to just try and spark a little oomph, a little energy about what's going on around us that's just so much bigger than our individual day jobs. As attorneys, as judges, as other professionals, we'll get to this later, that are in the legal ecosystem and part of the legal ecosystem, there's so much going on right now that it's almost a little hard to embrace, really, the changes. We get a lot of press that comes our way. The legal press is sensational. We know, we've heard about it. Robo-lawyers are coming. We're all doomed. I mean, we've heard all that, but it's really hard to make sense out of it and try to remember, okay, but I do have a day job, and where do I fit? What do I do with all of this? Well, I want to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to try to just take a couple of minutes, because the thing is, there are a lot of parts to our ecosystem. Again, we think about lawyers. We think about legal, we think about lawyers, we think about courts, especially when we watch all those great dramas on TV, objection sustained, Your Honor. I mean, kind of the world has a skewed view of what legal really is. It's a complicated matrix of all kinds of players, and the number of players are increasing. Their impact is becoming exponential right now, and I think what that's creating is a little tension. So if I look around our industry, to me, pretty much everybody here probably falls into one of these buckets or circles, and I'm going to put courts into regulation. Full disclosure, I am a commercial attorney. I was at Microsoft in-house. Before that, I was kind of at Big Law. Now I'm at a startup data warehousing, live in the Silicon Valley kind of world. I live in Seattle, but the company's in the Silicon Valley. So my perspective is definitely different, and I've been hearing so much today, which is fascinating as I think about, yes, I have never walked in the shoes of a solo practitioner. I have never worked in a legal aid capacity. But I think we're all struggling with the same things. At the end of the day, access to legal information, providing a legal service, is what we're all somehow related to. It's what we're all dealing with and struggling and trying to constantly improve on. And what I've learned is that there are a lot of things that are happening outside of us and outside of our day jobs that are actually influencing why we maybe are being asked for different things, why people aren't satisfied, why we're getting reviews on Yelp now that we never had before, why people are looking us up on Google, and social media is affecting us, because there's stuff happening all around, and our profession has largely gone unchanged for a really long time. And I think it's time to change that. The way I think it's time to change is to learn from all of these different parts of the ecosystem and bring in some of the things that they're teaching us. They're teaching us because we know law schools are having to adjust their curriculum. All kinds of great things are happening at more and more law schools every year. 5, 6 years ago, there would have been a small list of law schools that are doing something interesting and different. Well, let's not be, I don't want to put in my judgment of what's interesting and what isn't, but definitely doing something different in teaching different types of skill sets to its law students. Other law schools have entire, also centers of professions, and they're really thinking about where we're going. That number of schools is growing every year because there's definitely a feeling that we need to do different for our law students. There are new things that they need in order to be successful when they come out. Law firms, from small to super extra large, are feeling the tension of technology. They're feeling pressures from their clients. The big firms are feeling pressure from their big clients as they vote with their purse string. The small firms are feeling pressure from their clients and from the competition that their clients are seeking, or coming to them with opinions they've found online, or things they've learned from Rocket Lawyer or LegalZoom and trying to now inform their own counsel about. We obviously have corporate legal departments that play a big role in influencing the big firms because, again, we tend to vote with our purse strings, those of us that are in-house. We have legal services companies on the rise, and what are those? Not to be confused with Legal Services Corporation, very, very different. LSC is very different than legal services companies. What I'm talking about are their alternative legal providers, or we used to call them LPOs, legal process outsourcing. I've heard them being called law company. That starts getting really close, right, to us and what we do. So all of these, though, are providers of services all related to, but not quite touching the practice of law. They disaggregate the legal service, they disaggregate the various functions and tasks that attorneys do in their day job, and they focus on getting those done more effectively and more efficiently, leaving really just the legal advice and just the practice of law tip to the attorneys. They're faster, they're cheaper, they get a ton done very, very quickly with lower cost resources. They're bringing in process and efficiencies into conversations about legal services. Of course, we have technology, which we've heard a ton about today. We know the pressures they're creating. There are industry groups that are popping up around legal operations that definitely are causing conversations like never before. And then, of course, we have regulatory bodies, whether it's the courts themselves or whether it's the ABA. Everybody's talking about the definition of the practice of law. And the question earlier was asked, what do we think about that? Should that rule be relaxed a little bit? Should others be let in? I think we have to let others in. But before we get that, we also know that attorneys ourselves, we have to adapt some new skills. We don't have to become experts. We do not have to learn how to code. We do not have to go get certified in Lean Six Sigma and become experts at process mapping and design thinking and just all this stuff we hear about. You don't have to become experts, but you really do need to appreciate it. You need to appreciate the value of these other skill sets, and more importantly, I think every lawyer needs to know when they need to bring those skill sets into their service delivery. I'm going to keep calling it service delivery, and I'm going to stop calling it the practice of law, because we can keep practicing law, but if we don't learn to deliver as a service and put our customers first and create a delightful experience for them, even when dealing with us, we're going to start losing. At the end of the day, all of our consumers, they have a whole other life. When they're not dealing with us as attorneys, they're living their lives, they're doing the things we've been talking about, and those are delightful experiences. They're learning what it's like to be treated as an amazing customer. It's not just Nordstrom's anymore. I come from Seattle, where it's famous for their customer service, but it's not just Nordstrom's anymore. We've all been delighted by Amazon. We're all excited about the ease of Uber, and the list goes on. The practice of law, it's heavy, it's overwhelming to our clients, so we need to think about service delivery. As we think about service delivery, and I just said, and I'll say it again, you do not need to become coders, and you do not need to become experts in legal project management, and you don't need to become data scientists, but what you need to do is think about ways in your practice. How do we embrace all of these other amazing skill sets that exist with other professionals? The formerly known as non-lawyers, because we are not going to use that word. Again, we only have one more session after me, and Dan promises not to say the word non-lawyer ever again through the end of today. These are professionals that are learning that they can too help the legal profession. They are being brought in, they are being embraced. Certainly corporate legal departments, we figured it out. We've realized, wow, if I have one really good data analyst or business analyst, or I can hire more lawyers, I bet there's some process improvements and efficiencies that this other professional could bring that maybe I wouldn't need that many lawyers, or maybe what I deliver from those lawyers can look differently. We can start using graphs and charts and numbers. We can use data to delight the business. We can tell them how long things take to get done. That is what our consumers expect in every other aspect of their lives, pretty much. And somehow, with us, we still like to say, it depends. I don't think it depends is going to work for much longer. So some of the skill sets, some of the things that I found most useful, and again, I come definitely from my unique experience, but I think for any practitioner, regardless of what your area of law is, there have to be ways to enable and bring in the use of data. Even the most basic data. I always say every law firm, no matter what size, sits on a ton of data about their own client. For those of you who have any repeat clients, every time engaging with that client, you have experience and history you're bringing from before, yet they only benefit from it because, of course, they get a good output from you. But wouldn't they like to learn about some of those insights? Wouldn't they like to know, wow, that's right, we did do this before this many times, and it looks like that. Those are basic and simple data points that I guarantee you every client finds valuable. For those who don't have a lot of repeat clients, imagine the higher level vision you can bring as an expert in your field just based on the learnings you have from all the various clients, and rather than keeping it to ourselves or sharing it anecdotally amongst ourselves, How do we put that into a consumable format? There are people who can help with that. That goes to better marketing. We heard about marketing before. That goes to using the data that you already have better. Using technology, and by the way, using technology, if I can give you one takeaway, use what you already have. We're not talking about multi-million-dollar implementations and buying special legal systems. God bless, legal tech's exploding. It has had more VC money thrown into it this past year, well, obviously than ever before, but every year it's growing, and I wish I had the number. It is a crazy number, because guess what? VC's woken up that there's this big sleeping giant called legal, and we're gonna put in money there, and so legal tech's exploding. I'm the last person to say that you need to buy and invest in legal tech, but whether you're using Gmail or Outlook, whatever you're using, I guarantee you that there are capabilities and functions in all of those technologies that are being underutilized. You're either already paying for them or they're free. So start thinking about what are those things you can just enable to be a little bit more efficient about, and yes, automation does help. Of course, you have to make sure your process is good first. So as I think about bringing in all of these other professionals and experts, there's two ways to use them. I've given a couple of examples, but I'm going to make it really simple, and I'll divide it in two key buckets. And it's very easy to walk away from here and think about which one appeals to you more. One is you can use these other skill sets and all of these other professionals that are around. I'm not saying we all have them in our own companies or law firms, but they are certainly available in our ecosystem. And they can help you. I'm going to start with the how first. Let's go to number 2 first. The how you do the work. How do you intake the work? How does work come to you? How do you reply? How do you share documents? Where do you receive them? Is online collaboration a possibility? Is there a way where you know that your workflow, because it is a workflow. We don't talk about workflow in legal service, but we need to talk about it. Right? They can help you think about the how. You come in every day and you just start sorting through your emails. Is there a better way to organize the work so that you can be more efficient and focus on really what you love to do, which is the practice of law? So that's the how. That's your infrastructural ways of getting your work done every day. Now, of course, they can also help you with the what. This is where it gets a little bit more spicy, a little bit more controversial. We have a lot of lawyers who love doing the whole thing, the whole thing, from soup to nuts for their client. And that includes project management. That might include data analytics, financial analytics. If people are having problems that have to do with their finances, the lawyers are trying to read their budget sheets and their financial statements to give legal advice. But there are other people who could probably do that more effectively, potentially, and certainly more efficiently. So they can actually be brought in as part of the service that you're delivering. Just think about how you can disaggregate the work that you do in the day and how much of that work requires the unique skill set and education that you come with versus what can be done by others who are uniquely educated and trained in other disciplines and other sets of skills. So that's my pitch for bringing in others. To me, it's been the secret, certain, of any kind of success I could possibly ever claim to have had was because I had the most amazing project managers who taught me so much, and data analysts and financial analysts who made me realize, wow, I can actually operate my work. I did a lot of contracts, so many contracts I couldn't keep track. And if I hadn't learned from these other skilled professionals, I don't think I would have ever been able to get out of my rut of just doing contracts. But I focused on the how. And they helped me because I know I couldn't have done it by myself. And the last thing I want to do, because if I had a little soapbox, Jane let me bring it with me. It's a virtual soapbox. I'm going to get on it and just please ask that we stop talking about us versus everybody else. I just have to ask for that. It's not a good feeling for all of these other professionals who get in and the first thing they say is, wow, you lawyers really, I don't see a career path here. We've created this way of not helping enable ourselves by creating a divide between us and all of these other professionals. They see the benefits of helping legal. They see this as a mysterious opportunity place for them to get in and be helpful, but I think we need to do a better job of enabling them and embracing those skill sets. It's for our good, for sure, but I think more importantly, it's for the good of those that we serve. Whether they're corporate clients or whether they're solo clients that you deal with in the court systems, whoever it is that you serve, these are our customers. And we have to start giving them an experience that they are going to be delighted by. Maybe that's a high bar, but I would like them to be happy. I would like to end the lawyer jokes, and if we could do that by providing a better service, I think we'll come a long way. So thank you so much for having me and sharing my little soapbox with you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you. you.